Well, good morning. First, thanks to each of you for your confidence in allowing me and the privilege of leading the council through the next year. To be able to serve during our 100th birthday, our centennial year, is a unique honor and a singular opportunity to create an honest and grounded celebration of our council's efforts and accomplishments over the last 5 generations. What each of you do as board members, board executives, as volunteers, should not be underestimated. This 100-year effort is a volunteer-supported, non-governmental organization creating and supporting services critical to the public's health, safety, and welfare is successful because of you. As Greg referenced in his remarks, our efforts as a council are admired around the world. The council's ability to evolve has not always been painless. However, and that ability ensures that our credibility and relevance in this age of second-guessing regulation and governmental oversight. This will be a year to integrate and digest. We have done so much in the relatively short period of time that we need to use this year to check out our progress and confirm our milestones and make best use of the results of your efforts. The Model Law Task Force is entering its 3rd year, and the Interior Architecture Work Group is entering its 2nd year. Their work will result in significant outcomes in the next 2 years, and I expect we will start relevant conversations much earlier. The Futures Task Force, a diverse group of volunteers led by past President Christine Harding, will continue to examine how the regulation of architectural practice could and should evolve in response to changes in our profession and the regulatory climate. We anticipate that preliminary findings will be reported during next year's centennial annual business meeting. It's important to understand that these ongoing efforts do not preclude our continuing evolution on the programmatic side. Here's what's coming. Legislatures are rethinking regulation. A product of the current political culture are efforts to reduce regulation of occupations and professions in proportion to the degree that HSW protection is perceived as needed. A 10-level upside-down pyramid published by John Ross with the Institute of Justice for Justice illustrates the concept of graduated government enforcement layers from least to most restrictive. This diagram has been used in legislative efforts in several of your states. In the past year, coordinated regulatory reduction efforts have been active in Colorado, Iowa, Illinois, Louisiana, Minnesota, Missouri, New Hampshire, and Ohio. Also, legislation proposing multi-state compacts and temporary licenses has been attempted and rebuffed in Missouri, Arizona, South Dakota, New Hampshire, and Utah, which is currently very active. It is anticipated that similar legislation will be reintroduced next year in Arizona, again South Dakota, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Legislatures are also looking at executive oversight of the regulatory agencies in response to perceived restraint of trade risk exposure created by the Supreme Court's North Carolina Dental Board decision. Legislation to add board oversight is active in Missouri, Louisiana, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Mississippi. Michael Armstrong and staff visits state boards, and AIA chapters are paying dividends. Not only has this cemented relationships, the council is becoming the go-to entity to assist in addressing these regulatory challenges. Mike and staff will visit about 16 states this year. When requested, council response teams can assist with legislative efforts and have developed tactics and resources to tackle common issues. the next legislative round in 2019 will probably be very busy. A shadow exam. Many of you remember the severe impact that compromises to the examination have had in the past. They were a major shock. Our secretary, Mr. Vidari, offered the sage observation that should our exam database be compromised, the ARE would immediately come to a complete stop. It would put careers on hold. 25% of the council's income would be lost, and we would need to start from scratch on a new exam quickly and with unknown cost exposure. I wish I had a photo of the expressions on the faces of the board members as they digested that thought last year. The board has authorized staff to start planning to address this threat through the creation of a shadow exam. When completed, we will have an untouchable, backup, cloud-independent, fully developed, and functional exam in the vault and at the ready. After a year of planning, estimated costs will be about $1.3 million, which will be allocated over the following 3 years. Continuing education. Our long-awaited efforts to facilitate more effective continuing education auditing for our member board should come to fruition with the new continuing education tracking tool. This tool will utilize the records of our certificate holders and incorporate architects' existing information, including data integrations from a variety of sources. I'd like to note that the council's constituency includes all architects. There are over 113,000 licensed architects in the United States, of which 48,000 do not have a transcript service. As of today, NCARB tracks 45,200 certificate holders, 25% of whom are not provided with a transcript service. As a result, in order to assist our member boards, the council has a responsibility to serve a much wider audience, a large portion of which fall outside of the AIA umbrella. Another continuing education concern has been the quality and the effectiveness of HSW courses offered across the country. Some can be very weak and yet be credentialed. In this coming year, a group of roughly 100 volunteers will embark on a new continuing education auditing initiative designed to provide feedback on continuing education course quality through an NCARB-funded secret shopper program. The operational details and criteria are being developed currently, and with more information to come. Notice that with both CE tracking and the HSW course validation, I use the term audit. These activities fall squarely within our mission to support our member boards in assuring licensees are qualified to protect the public. International matters. This council has an ongoing international responsibility. The Tri-National Agreement, our joint U.S., Canada, Mexico pact, is strong and functioning well. This agreement falls outside of NAFTA, so shouldn't be impacted by any changes in that arena. In November, I will be leading an NCARB delegation to Mexico City to monitor the progress of the Tri-National Agreement with our Canadian and Mexican counterparts. Mutual recognition arrangements are in place between the United States and New Zealand and Australia. These are also functioning well. We are also renewing efforts to explore additional international reciprocity opportunities. Specifically, the UK, While our colleagues in the United Kingdom were unable to host a workshop at this annual business meeting, we remain hopeful that this time next year, the post-Brexit climate will allow progress toward a possible mutual recognition agreement between the United States and the United Kingdom. China. Last week at the AIA conference, we met briefly with the delegation from China and enjoyed cordial discussions about the merits and the similarities between our respective licensing pathways. As we explore other opportunities, we will need a standing committee of volunteers with experience and background to conduct analysis and linking exercises to determine whether our 3 E's and the elements of foreign licensing models have equivalency. It is interesting to note that the Council's Foreign Architect Certification Program has 240 candidates in the pipeline, and that 5 have attained certification to date. Obviously, the interest is there. The strategic plan. For the past year or so, many of you have participated in focus groups, surveys, individual interviews, and the 2017 ABM workshop in our comprehensive effort to exhaustively obtain stakeholder input into the update of our refreshed strategic plan. The results have affirmed that much of our current plan is viable, that we should make adjustments to reflect emerging priorities, and that users of the plan should see themselves in the language itself. Early drafts of the plan address all these findings. We are now entering the final review phase. The board will see a full draft in September, after which it will be reviewed at the Chair's Executive Summit in October to receive the last key stakeholder reactions. Then, a revised plan goes back to the board in January. After final massaging and formatting of the plan, it will be considered at the April board meeting for final blessing. Then, it gets packaged for unveiling at the 2019 Centennial Annual Business Meeting. It's a long road, but worth the effort. Thank you all for your patience and your input and your help. The Centennial. 2019 is our centennial. It will be a unique, celebratory, and introspective year for the Council. Over the past year, our distinguished Centennial Advisory Committee has worked hard on bringing you a memorable and appropriate series of events, as well as documentary publications and traveling exhibits. You received the first outcomes this week, the new NCARB Centennial Pen, P-E-N, on Thursday, and the new Centennial Pin, P-I-N, waiting for you this morning at your seat. The white ones are for summer, and the dark ones are for the winter. We not only have much to celebrate, but much to learn. The Centennial Year will provide us with a platform to do both, including new information regarding our 100-year journey, a look forward from our Futures Task Force, and the unveiling of our refreshed strategic plan. Please be sure to pick up your Centennial Pen and special commemorative pens. They'll both be probably good collector's items. To conclude, I want to thank my wife, Kathy, and my family, some of whom were able to make it here to Detroit and will be at the reception and banquet tonight. There are 2 little people, about 5 and 3. They'll be wearing their pins. They have been very supportive and patient and understand my commitment to our profession. Their continued support has meant the world to me. Again, you all deserve an upfront thank you for your efforts in the coming year. We have a lot to get done, so let's get started. Thank you very, very much.